everybody, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Sightless Voices, Unleashing Potential. I am your hostie with the mostie, Jennifer Parrish, and today we have a very special episode for you. Our guest is none other than the one and only Ron Graham, president of the Visually Impaired People of Southeast Texas, or VIPSET, and the Houston Area Visually Impaired Network, or Haven. Ron is going to share his journey with us on embracing his identity as a blind or low vision person and overcoming societal expectations. We'll be discussing self-acceptance, self-advocacy, challenging societal perceptions, and building a positive self-image. Before we get started, guys, as always, we're going to describe our set for you all. We are sitting in blue chairs with wooden tables next to us. We have a white brick background with blue lights and a neon lighthouse sign. Okay, so Ron, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. So can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your journey?
Well, I'll be honest. I am the first blind person I ever knew. I never knew anyone who was blind, never dealt with any low vision, visual impairment. 20/20 vision, I was 31 years old, one car wreck, one late night, Lubbock, Texas, flipped it over 8 or 9 times, head injury, severed both optic nerves, woke up after a 2-month coma. I see then what I see now, it's a dark maroon curtain. And, I thought, hey, something's happened. This is like a dark room, a photographer's dark room. Something's happened to my eyes. They're hurt. They don't want to damage them. And it was scary because I was on a ventilator, on a trach.
Oh, my gosh.
And my hands were strapped down. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move. I couldn't see. But I could hear everything around me. And that was my introduction to not being able to see until I heard my parents' voices. And that was a relief. I was a captain with the state prison system. I had my whole life, my whole career mapped out. I was going to be a warden by the time I retired. And, here I was 13 years into this career, and, hey, you can't see your hand in front of your face. You sure can't see a convict hitting the fence. So that was one of the realities that I had to face. But the shocking part was, what do I do? I didn't know how to feed myself, shave myself, or whatever else I might need to do. And I was in the hospital another 6 weeks after that. And, all my muscles had atrophied, and, they shrunk up. I had to learn to walk again, build up the strength in my legs, and go to physical rehab hospital after that. And it was crazy. It was one of the biggest things that it did is it changed my identity. Mm-hmm. And because everything I knew, 3 months out of high school, I went to work at the prison system. This is all I've known, all I did as an adult.
Right. And
now I couldn't do it. People always say, hey, what do you do? What kind of work do you do? Well, I was a captain with the prison system.
Right.
So now I'm a retired captain. Mm-hmm. I still have people call me Captain Ron.
Captain Ron. Oh.
But it was funny, and I just had to smile because Captain Ron, the movie with Ron Howard.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking of.
it came out while I was a captain,
oh, wow.
and there was a cutout at the video store. Yeah, we had video stores still back then.
Yes.
But I thought the movie was pretty cool. He had this eye patch on, and then he went to sleep, and he moved the eye patch to his other eye, his good eye, so he could sleep.
Oh, wow.
And then he woke up, he says, oh my gosh, I'm blind. I says, wow, isn't that ironic?
Yeah.
Captain Ron.
Captain Ron's blind. Crazy.
My text tone on my phone is a clip from the movie. Hey, Captain Ron.
That's awesome. I love that. That's very cool. Well, so that kind of aligns with what we're going to be talking about today. It's kind of about talking about embracing your identity, and understanding your unique strengths. So why do you think it's important for people with vision loss to embrace who they are?
Well, I think what everybody should understand is that the vision loss, and I don't care if you're born blind, if you're gradually losing your vision over time and you know it, or if it's onset suddenly, as it was with me, however vision loss happens, it shapes who you are. It helps you create who you are. And if you're growing up this way or if it's gradual over time, you've got time to think about it. But if you embrace this, if you understand this is who I am, this is what I can be, understand the disability, but see the abilities. And don't let the loss of vision limit what you can do. Granted, I'm not going to drive the bus. I'm not going to fly the jet. I'm not going to be the brain surgeon. But if I wanted to work in transportation, if I wanted to work in medical field, there's careers out there that if that was my choice, that's what I'd want to do, I could do that. But it's important that you understand that it dictates the boundaries of what you can and can't do, but there's a lot of playing field. I'm using a sports analogy here. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of playing field ahead of you that you can play on. And but you have to understand that I can do this. It's not what I can't do. And I've always been a positive person, which I think probably helped me adapt to this because that letting go of my old identity was hard. It was, all my hopes and dreams. But when I came to realize is I lost my sight, not my life. And, that's something, I get phone calls regularly from people dealing with vision loss, looking for resources and information. One of the first things I try to pass on to them is, you've lost your vision. You're losing your vision. You've not lost your life. Life is going on right outside your door. It's not going to come knocking at your door. You've got to go out and pursue it.
Exactly.
You've got to find what it's going to take for you to jump back out there and do it. I mean, granted, okay, now I couldn't see a thing. I woke up in that hospital, when I was on that trach, the speech therapist said, well, I usually use a picture board to help people communicate. Ooh. That wouldn't work.
Right.
So, had to think, okay, what's it going to take to work for me? And that's the thing. If you embrace who you are, your new identity, because that's what it is. It's shaping your new identity.
Exactly.
You find out what's going to work for you.
What ended up working for you in the hospital? What did they do?
She says there's a one-way valve that we can put on this trach. Because I don't know if you know it, to speak, you have to be able to push air out of your mouth.
Right.
Okay. And that ventilator, the trach was pushing air in, then it was taking air out. And you could hear it. Whoosh,
yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, when that valve is in, it will push air in, but I have to breathe out through my mouth. And she says most doctors would not approve it for patients who are on a ventilator because they're too weak to breathe on their own. Mm-hmm. She talked to my doctor. He says, start at 5 minutes and see how that goes. And that was the measuring stick for me getting out of ICU was being able to go 24 hours off the ventilator. But I built up with that one-way valve. So just like that one-way valve worked for me to communicate, because that was something I had to do. I can't see. I could,
You can't point at anything or make any gestures or anything like that. Exactly.
So I had to find what would work for me.
Right.
And that was just that one setting. So, okay, well, I used to be the captain. I used to live on my own. I moved back home with my parents, 31 years old. You move back home with your parents, mom and dad's house, mom and dad's rules.
Right.
I love them.
Yeah.
I love them. They were there for me. It was a nice, gentle landing place to rebuild my life. But I figured out, well, what can I do? What can't I do? What do I need to do? And, what I missed was being able to take a note on something or write something down.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been to any kind of blind rehab. I didn't know how to use a cane. Until I went to Chris Cole, I learned about a type and speak. Boy, that changed everything for me.
There's your note taker right there. Yes, sir.
Old school. But,
yeah, boy.
But it got me all the way through grad school. Mm-hmm. But I could turn it on. I could write a note. I could I was listening to books on tape. If there was something in this ad, a phone number or a book number I needed, I'd write it down. And then I was using it to write down my thoughts and
Journal,
write poems, write songs. This is so cool.
That's awesome.
Learning new things, learning new ways to empower your life. And I think that was one of the most important words anyone with vision loss needs to understand is empower yourself.
Yep.
One of the things I wound up doing later was public speaking. I started out at my high school where I graduated from, Coppers Cove, Texas, big town.
Yes, sir.
I was speaking at a summer writing class, and the man who was there, he was a drug intervention specialist, and he asked me to come to his office. He says, "Do you have a message?" Because I was drinking the night I had my wreck.
Yeah.
And he says, "You got a positive message in there." And, I went to his office, and he got me a Coke, and I'm drinking it, and I finished it. I said, "Kip, where's your trash can?" He said, "Here, I'll get that for you." I said, No, you didn't listen to me. I said, "Where's your trash can?" I said, "Next time I'm in here, I want to throw my own can away again." Oh, so empower yourself. And you empower yourself by giving yourself the skills, the confidence, the independence to do things on your own. And part of that is knowing your tools. Know what you need. If I was going to write notes, I need to have a way to do that. I learned grade 1 Braille in 4 days.
Wow.
But I didn't practice it.
Yeah.
And I had that type and speak. I'm like, wow, I've got this. And, you find what works for you. It doesn't have to work for everyone else. I had people tell me, "You don't know Braille. You're illiterate as a blind person." And I let that beat me over the head for a while, but I figured out, look, Braille is a medium.
Exactly.
And I've got my medium. And granted, if the electronics fail, I'm lost. If I didn't back up my material on a floppy disk, yes, we had floppy disks back then.
I remember those. Yes, sir.
You're lost, but it reshapes your identity. You have to learn how to do things differently. And you learn what you need to do to take care of yourself. You empower yourself, and you shape that identity because you want to be seen as a competent and confident person. And you notice I didn't say blind person.
Right.
They're going to see you as a blind person. You've got a cane, you've got a guide dog, or if you're just going sighted guide, people are going to figure out you don't see too well. Well, you want to be confident in what you're doing. You want people to see you as competent just as anyone else. And to do that, you have to have the confidence to go out there and take on the world. You don't want to be seen as the poor blind person on the street corner with the tin cup, alms for the poor, alms for the blind. I'm not, I'm not helpless.
Or that's fumbling and bumbling and can't manage,
Yeah, they can't do for yourself.
Correct. Let's talk about some tips and strategies for advocating for yourself in various aspects of your life. So let's including kind of employment, education, that sort of situation.
Here's the deal. Who knows what you need best? You do.
Absolutely.
And when I went to Chris Cole, one of the first things that they told me was there is a mandatory self-advocacy class for the first 2 weeks. Everybody has to attend.
That's awesome. I didn't know about that. That's great.
Well, it was at that time, and I hope it still goes on because I went there during college prep, even though I went in there looking for an open spot, and they said, "Well, it's July 5th. Can you come up?" And I said, "You bet." So it's a bunch of youngsters, 18 to 22.
Oh, yeah. I was there during my college prep years. Okay. Like I went, so I know all about that.
You know that.
I was one of them.
So, well,
yes.
What I found, even though I felt confident to advocate for myself, I realized how important that was because there were several people there who were coming from a home where everyone did everything for them.
Exactly. I've noticed that too.
And
There's a lot of that.
I say, break that shell open. Let them get out there on their own and learn how to fly because that self-advocacy, being able to speak up for yourself. And I don't care if it's at school, if it's at work, if it's at a restaurant. advocate for yourself, speak up for yourself. And again, it comes down to who knows what you need best. You do.
Yep.
And you be the voice. You want the respect of others, demand the respect. Be that person, be that voice, and speak up for yourself. I go on and on about advocacy because when you start out, today it's TWC, or if you're 55 or older, you're dealing with OIB. It's part of TWC as well. But the counselor that you get, they're going to come to you and tell you, well, look, here's what we can do. And, bottom line is, what do you need? What's going to serve you? Where do you want to go? All this, the key word in all of that is you.
Right.
You have to speak up for yourself. And to do that is being confident. And I'll be the first to tell you, when I became blind, I wanted to crawl under the covers and never come out. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm not that strong. This is not me. But when when you realize this is life, this is where you're at, and this is a reality you have to face, you jump out there and you make it happen. But it's not that easy. You have to, sometimes you're going to have to fake it till you make it. Put on that brave face. Go out there. Hi, I'm Ron Graham, and I'm here today to say hi.
It's true.
It's a small step, but
yeah.
You can do that. One small step and build on that.
I mean, I've been blind my entire life, legally blind, and I still have days where I'm like, oh my God, I just don't want to deal with this person, or I just don't want to deal with like somebody behind a counter that wants to, just act a certain way, or and you're absolutely right. You just have to jump out there and do it. And even though it's just frustrating and you're going to get pushed back from somewhere, you just got to do it.
And there's times you're going to deal with idiots.
Exactly. That's where I'm going.
After I graduated with my master's in clinical psychology, I was working back at the community college where I'd started after I became blind, Central Texas College. And I'd met my wife at that time. We were married, and I was commuting back and forth after I had this job. And I'd come down for the weekend. Her and my son were down here in Houston. And I would, sometimes we'd drive by car, but sometimes I'd fly in and out for a weekend. And I'm leaving out of Intercontinental Airport, and there's this lady. She says, who's going to pick you up at the other end? Because I'd asked if my wife can come down with me to my gate.
Past security.
Yeah. And she says, well, who's picking you up at the other gate? I said, that doesn't matter. I said, I'm just trying to get down here to the gate here. No, you're blind. You're flying all alone. Who's picking you up on the other end? You need to wear this sticker. I'm like, lady, do you understand? Do you understand the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act? I said, I'm the ADA coordinator at a community college. I said, I probably know this law a lot better than you do.
Correct.
I said, I don't need to tell you who's picking me up. I just wanted to yell at her, but keeping my decorum, keeping my peace.
Right. Take the high road.
Yeah, like, you're an idiot, lady.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I wanted to say.
Or the ones that want to slap you in a wheelchair.
Oh.
I'm like, anyways, don't get me started.
Yeah. So, but again, this comes down to advocacy.
Exactly.
You have to be your best advocate.
Absolutely.
You want, and it doesn't matter where you're at. One of my funny stories, I've had two wonderful dogs from the Seeing Eye, and I was speaking at my son's kindergarten class, and I was with my father-in-law, and we left there, and we went to a sandwich shop in Kingwood, and we go in there, and young man behind the counter, he's, oh, hi, sir, I know what the dog's for, but you can't bring him in here. I said, if you know what the dog's for, you know I can bring him in.
Right.
No, we have health codes. I said, are you the manager? No. I said, then you need to get your manager. She's in a meeting. I said, well, I came here to eat, and it's up to you whether I'm going to eat here or not, because my dog's coming in with me. I said, this is a guide dog for the blind. I said, Obviously, I'm blind, and so he provides a service for someone with a disability, being me, and you can't refuse me. I says, you're violating the law. You understand that? No, you can't bring him in, sir. You have to leave your dog outside. And I started yelling at him. And he says, you don't have to yell at me. I said, you're not listening to me otherwise.
Exactly.
I said, go get your manager now. And she came in, sent him to her office, and apologized 1,000 times. But, you have to advocate for yourself. You will run into idiots, but keep your patience. Try not to lose your cool and yell at people.
Yeah, I agree with that because, we cannot train the entire world in a day about how to deal with visually impaired people, so you're always going to run into that. So it's on you to, like I said, take the high road and maintain your composure, but also advocate for yourself because, you're the most important guy. So
well, and here's the deal: you're also going to run into people. You may be the first blind person they ever meet.
Exactly.
And you're going to, one, have a chance to educate them.
Yeah.
Two, you're also going to leave them with what's probably going to be a lasting impression of what a blind person is.
That's absolutely right.
And that guy probably thinks I was the angry blind guy, but he doesn't. If he were honest, he would have to look back and see himself as the counter clerk who would not listen.
Right.
But
exactly.
But yeah, like I say, that was one of the other things that I saw is you're always going to be educating people because it's still not a common thing to meet someone who's blind, and when you walk in, you're going to stand out. Your white cane, your guide dog, they're going to give you away, and
you can't hide.
No,
you absolutely can't. So wear it proud.
When I was in class, I graduated with my bachelor's and master's at U of H Clear Lake.
Go Cougs!
And we, I was first week of class, and I'd been up there. I had O&M. I knew where my class was. I had my guide dog, nice, beautiful German Shepherd. I took a cab to class that first week until I could get my transportation lined out. Cab ran late. I'm going down that hall as fast as I can. I hear the classroom. I hear it ahead of me, and I hear the professor speaking in there before I'm even at the door. My pet peeve is people who show up late for class. I walk in. Got this German Shepherd at my side. I'm just smiling. You wouldn't believe it. Parking was a real bear out there.
That's awesome.
I said, now, if you don't mind, could I ask if there's an open seat on the front row maybe? Where I said, by the way, I heard what you said about people who are late. I said, I'll talk to you about that. So a good sense of humor is going to be very empowering for you. You don't have to laugh and say blind people are funny, but putting people at ease is a good sense of humor is a good way to do that.
100%. I've dealt with my blindness, from being a child by developing a good sense of humor, and I feel like if you can put people at ease, like you said, it's going to be a lot smoother of a road for you.
I'm telling you, the job I got at Central Texas College, it was a disability services coordinator, and the man who turned out to be my boss was chairing the committee, and he says, Ron, you really nailed the interview when you took what could have been an awkward moment. The question was, do you have he says, this job has requirement of doing outreach and going out to public events, representing the college and the disabilities service department. Would you have a problem doing that? And I said, no. Would you mind if I took one of the college's vehicles?
Nice.
He says, you took what he says, we're asking this of all the applicants, but he says, you made it a lighter moment, not so awkward. And I said, yeah, Texas is ADA compliant. We have braille bumps down the middle of the highway, right? He says,
put your cane out the window.
Yeah. I said, that would be me. And he says, you really handled that so well. And, it's not saying, look at me, I'm blind, I'm funny, because, it's not funny to be blind, but you help put people at ease with a good sense of humor.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about connecting with supportive community, folks in the community. Can you tell us a little bit about Haven and VIPSET and those sort of groups?
Yeah. Aside from learning your tools and getting your skills to manage your life, as a blind person, that, one of the other things you need is that connection. And I was in denial. I met with the regional director from, at that time, Commission for the Blind, and I said, I don't need to go to Chris Cole. I don't want to be around a bunch of blind people. They know they're blind, and I don't need to be around them. Oh, little did I know. And I found that when I went to Chris Cole, I need these people in my life. And get connected. I'm a big advocate for connecting with others in your community who are blind, visually impaired, low vision, because they need the resources. They need that. You need that. And when 15 years ago, I had 3 friends in the Kingwood area who were also blind, and they didn't know anyone else besides me who was blind. So I said, look, let's start a support group. And if it doesn't take off, at least you'll meet my 3 other friends. And that launched, and we just celebrated our 15th anniversary in October.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
You. We still meet monthly. It's a great thing. And that's how Haven actually got started, because after I started my group, one of my group members called this lady she knew on the southwest side of town. She called me, says, you've got a support group in Kingwood? I'm down here on the southwest side. Well, you can't come to my meeting. I can't come to yours regularly. But, what if we found other support groups and got together and did something once a year? And we did that. And that started what is today Haven. We had 4 support groups. There was VIPSET. There was a Southwest Houston Low Vision Clubs. And then there was the Houston Low Vision Club Central. And there was VIA. And I'm Michael McCulloch, Minnie Crystal, and Lee Boncher, the 3 of them and myself, we started Haven. And just at a low vision day that VIA was sponsoring with Freedom Scientific, and, we said, hey, we can do this. And U of H said, Dr. Wu was a friend of Lee's and said, we'll host you. You can have your event here. We had our first Inside Expo in 2011, and we have it every year at University of Houston. We have speakers, we have presenters, we have workshops, we have exhibitors. If someone's dealing with vision loss, we try to put together something that has something for everybody there. If you're new to vision loss, we try to have any exhibitor that might have something to share for resources, information, what you might be looking for. We try to have workshops and speakers that will appeal to different people, low vision, total vision loss, or self-advocacy. And, so we try to do something to appeal to the broad range of vision loss and where people are with that. So one thing about Haven, today we're 11 groups and organizations. We started out as 4 support groups. We're all volunteers still, but we're now 11 groups and organizations, and that includes Lighthouse.
Yes.
And we have the national organizations. We have the NFB of Houston. We have the Houston Council of the Blind. We have the Foundation Fighting Blindness. We have the Blinded Veterans Association. We have other low vision groups, the Dan Arnold Center, their support group, and we also have some grassroots organizations. Now some people may not know iBug. You know iBug, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And iBug today, that started at our first Inside Expo.
Really?
Michael McCulloch was, as I said, one of the founding members of Haven. But his whole support group wound up kind of transitioning into iBug. But our first Inside Expo, he did a presentation on voiceover. That was standing room only. 2 times he presented it.
Wow.
And I can't take any credit for it. I told Michael, I said, man, you got something here. There's a lot of interest in that. And it was right after that he started iBug. And, it's built into something.
Oh, it's huge now.
It is. And I'm proud to see everything he and Sanjay have made that.
Yes.
So, yeah, like I say, we try to be here for everybody. And people contact me looking for resources and information. I'll tell them about don't give up because you're not alone. Because that's one of the first things. You feel so isolated if you're losing your vision, that you're losing your vision, not your life. And get connected with the support group because they're here. You need to understand you're not alone, and that's the best way to do that.
Absolutely.
Get connected with these people. They'll have the information, resources, and they can be there for you, good times and bad. And we do social activities and everything else. So,
and I can attest to this. I was at my very first Haven Expo last year, and I'm sorry I was late to the party, but oh my gosh, there's so much there. You guys are like an enormous group, and there's literally like we have. Blind Girl Designs was making T-shirts, and there was all kinds of stuff, and I was just mind blown by all the kinds of different like fun things too. It's not just let's learn how to go to college, which obviously that's important, but it's blind entrepreneurs and all kinds of good stuff, man, and it was really cool. So I'm coming back.
It's that sense of empowerment because you talk about. Grassroots. This is us. This is us doing this.
100%.
All of us are blind doing this.
So I just want to thank you for joining us today, Ron. This has been an awesome conversation, and you have so much to offer, and I'm just so happy that you joined us. Any last words of advice for someone that's recently lost their vision?
I'll say it again. You're not alone, and you've lost your sight, not your life. Get out there. Find out what you need to step back in the mainstream of life because it's waiting for you. We're waiting for you. Come on and join us.
Come join us. All right. Well, to our listeners, we just want to thank you for being part of our community and tuning into Sightless Voices Unleashing Potential, brought to you by the Lighthouse of Houston. We hope you found our conversation with Ron Graham as inspiring and insightful as we did. And remember that embracing your identity and advocating for yourself are powerful steps towards fulfilling your life. Stay tuned for more episodes wherever you get your podcasts, and tune into us on social media at the Lighthouse of Houston. Until next time, y'all, take care and stay empowered. Thank you.